Winning Blueprint presents.
5 minutes or less. St. Louis Rams.
Welcome. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the St. Louis Rams in 5 minutes or less. Got 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get started. So the high point of the season for the St. Louis Rams. Look, Jeff Fisher is a really good coach. This is evident by the quick turnaround of the St. Louis Rams in the 2012 season. They were a lot better than many, including myself, thought they were going to be in this season. Now, I said Jeff Fisher was good for about 3 or 4 extra wins. I didn't expect them to win 7 games, however, in the 2012 season. And this team finished the season up winning 4 out of their final 6 games, with their signature win coming in Week 13 versus the San Francisco 49ers with a 16-13 overtime thriller. And so this team is building momentum for the future. And I tell you what, that stretch of games from Week 12 to the end of the season proved to be the high point of the season for the Rams, where they were able to win 4 out of 6, including that big win against the 49ers in Week 13. So you look at the low point of the season for the St. Louis Rams. And after starting quietly 3-2 to the season, the first time them being over 500 since 2006, can you fathom that for a second? First time over 500 since 2006. They started the season 3-2. They were under the radar. They did not handle the success of winning well, though, because after starting 3-2, they dropped their next 4 out of 5 games. And the one game that they didn't lose was a tie, which essentially, in most instances, is just like a loss. So they didn't play good football in the middle of the season. And from weeks 6 to 11, they really struggled, did the St. Louis Rams. And that, for all intents and purposes, really put a damper on a season that started with so much promise at 3-2. That was the low point of the season, not being able to get it done in a 5-week stretch from week 6 to 11. That really was a crushing blow to the Rams in this season, and that was the low point of their season. So you look at free agency activity for the St. Louis Rams. And looking at this team, it's a very young football team. And they've got a little bit of cap space. They came into the offseason with just about $2 million worth of cap space. And so they've got some decisions to make, though. This is a young team with some decisions to make. First things first, Steven Jackson, your workhorse running back over the years, has the player option to void his contract and seek greener pastures. What will he decide to do? Who knows? He might be back. He may not be back. You've got other guys to worry about, however, too. William Hayes. After Quinn, after Long, he's your best sack man. You need to realize that he's a guy that got you 7 sacks this season. Bring him back. You also look at receivers Danny Amendola and Brandon Gibson. As Danny Amendola goes, so does this offense. He needs to be back. Whatever you have to do, figure it out. Bring Danny Amendola back. You did not franchise tag him. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, because there's a lot of teams salivating to get their hands on Danny Amendola. You need to figure out a way to get Danny Amendola back before free agency kicks off. And Brandon Gibson was a guy that had his most productive season as a professional in 2012. He's starting to get better. Do you want to allow him to walk away? I don't think you can if you're the Rams. You need to re-sign him and then test the free agent waters. If you're the Rams, test the free agent waters and see what's out there and available for you to grab and make your team better. The state of the fan base for the St. Louis Rams. To me, it's simple. Cautious optimism. Jeff Fisher has you believing again in St. Louis. Sam Bradford doesn't seem as bad. This offense is starting to come around. This defense is a lot more physical. They're a lot faster to the football. This is a better team overall. But the last time you won 7 games and had hope for the future was 2010, when you almost made it to the playoffs. You lost in the last game of the season. And then the next year in 2011, you had hope, and then you went 2-14. Now, Jeff Fisher is your coach now, and it's different, but you still have that in the back of your mind. Are we going to play as well as we did to finish the season? Or are we going to throw up all over ourselves come the start of the 2013 season? That remains to be the question, but I tell you what, you're in good hands with Jeff Fisher. It's cautious optimism for the Rams. You hear that sound in the background, that means that was the St. Louis Rams in 5 minutes or less.
St. Louis Rams, 5 minutes or less.